Мама, я сейчас видео снимаю, значит 20 минут, пожалуйста, меня не мешай.
Hello and welcome back to another Wednesday waffle. This time hopefully on Wednesday because I'm recording this much earlier than I normally would. The snack is one peanut butter toast, yogurt, homemade yogurt, kinda, we have a machine, with hazelnuts and honey and raisins and some rooibos tea. So I guess it's just fitting to say, what's brewing? If you don't know who I am, I'm Grigori, 16 years old, documenting life on this channel with Wednesday Waffles. This is hopefully going to be the last super duper, well, not super duper, but kind of poor quality one. I've said that 3 times, you can't trust me, whatever. Ultimately, I'm trying to find some enjoyment, and perhaps there is some part of me which wants to monetize making YouTube content. And so I'm here making videos, ideally every single week. This is generally just a life update, but this week I almost wanted it to be a bit more. I was very close to making a very good video. Well, maybe not making a very good video, but I was very close to recording this earlier, but I guess I didn't find the time, even though I did have the time. Basically, I prioritized other stuff above YouTube, and actually, I think that's valid for this week. This week has been very school focused, so I think it's kind of acceptable that this video is going to be a bit iffy and a bit rough around the edges, as you're about to find out, because I had a lot of backlog this week. Backlog hurts. Backlog's literal definition is, and I quote, the accumulation of uncompleted work which needs to be completed. It's really confusing, even if it's quite straightforward. And I think a backlog can come in many shapes and sizes. The conventional way you see it is, it's some office worker with a bunch of papers stacked on top of their desk. As you saw in the thumbnail, you're swamped by papers. But I think there's much more to backlog than just that. For me, I have a lot of backlog with friends. I have a lot of backlog with online revision, and I have a lot of backlog with YouTube, as you see from my videos being released on Thursdays and Fridays all the time. I don't really believe that anyone's completely free of backlog. I think there's always something which you're missing, something you have obligated yourself to doing, as you're about to find out, and you never really finished it. Maybe because you don't care about it enough, maybe because you found something else to do, or maybe just because you're a procrastinator. And to be fair, none of these are wrong. Obviously, some of them have their own drawbacks, but they're all alright. The problem is the backlog which is created by them. For instance, I'll give you an example of my backlog. The one which sticks in my mind the most is my Anki. It is online flashcards which I use for revision for school. Because however much I dislike school, and however much I think that hopefully the profession I go into when I'm older, and whatever job I have, whatever monetizable thing I do, will not be linked to what I do at school, I still want to try at school. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that I ultimately think it's a testament to my character. And if I do well at school, that means I am almost destined to do well outside of school because I tried. And so because of that, naturally, I make revision. I revise using this app called Anki, and basically make your own flashcards and you revise from them. It's very simple. It's a very simple concept. It's got its own spaced practice thing. It's quite easy. But when you don't do it, you get into a serious backlog. And that's what happened to me. I got into a backlog of over 600 cards, plus cards which I needed to make. And this whole backlog thing came on Sunday. On Sunday, I just sat down and did all that revision. Maybe not all of it, but I sat down and did some of the most painful bits. I did the German, which I really love, but takes up a lot of the space on my Anki, and my geography, which is arguably the harder thing for me to revise on my flashcards because I really don't like it. I revised for 4 hours, 45 minutes in one day. That's including homework. And I felt terrible. I'm hoping to make a bit of a short film on this, actually, with one of my friends. And I would put up a teaser of it if I'd filmed any of it, but that will hopefully come later. The point is, I'm trying to figure out school right now. I'm trying to figure out what backlog I have, trying to remove it, so that I can then focus in on videos as much as possible, ideally come February, and maybe even sports, but we'll talk about that later. Backlog's hard to avoid, but as I just hopefully showed you, the best way to do it is to literally just push through the pain for a day. Because once you push through the pain for a day, once you've got over that initial inertial hurdle, it kind of everything's just downstream. It becomes a lot easier, and there's a lot less effort involved in trying to make everything work and fit together. Unfortunately, backlog requires time to fix, and time isn't always the most abundant resource we have. Even though everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, everyone has some taken up by what I call obligators. I'd consider myself to be respectful of most people and respectful of most institutions. Obviously, I dislike what some of them stand for, but that doesn't mean I don't respect that they have an opinion. It also means that if I'm roped into something which I don't necessarily like, unless I have a valid reason to say no, I'll just continue with it and say yes. Generally, I consider myself optimistic, and so I think, oh, this might get better. What an obligator is exactly that. It's something which just drains your time you don't necessarily want to do, and it just builds up in pain. It builds up and builds up and builds up, and that might have been a bit disgusting, but it gets higher and higher and higher until eventually it breaks through the pain barrier, and well, you realize that you don't want it. It could be an addiction like YouTube, but for me, there are much more passive obligators. School is a great example, but I think an even more valid example for me is swimming. How my swimming club, making me go swimming 3 times a week at 8 o'clock, which then ruins my sleep for the rest of the week because it creates backlog of sleep, which means I'm tired, blah, 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 blah. That was an obligator. I think today I'm going to hand in my notice for swimming. Not for teaching, I'm still going to teach, but I'm going to say I'm going to stop swimming for a month. This is how to avoid obligators. Similarly to backlog, you just have to overcome an initial hurdle of pain, and then hopefully it turns out better. You need to overcome an initial hurdle of pain and say, right, I need to say no to some of these obligators. I need to say no to swimming, because if I say no to swimming, I get 2-3 more hours in my day. I get to have a proper conversation with my girlfriend every evening, and I get to go to sleep at a normal time, which allows me to wake up at a normal time, feeling energized for the day ahead. All of that from saying no. A major high inertia action which has very good downstream consequences. And it's quite similar to Derek Sivers' infamous hell yes or no, if you don't know about it. It's something you forget about a lot, then you realize it, and then they're like, yeah, it makes sense, but then there are some things you can't apply it to. And I mean, that's ultimately the case with every single precept of knowledge. Now, that's the end of my big ideas. However, there is one thing which links the two together. Something which links obligators and backlog together, besides from the strenuous link I made about requiring time to fix. I'll give you 3 seconds to guess it. You see, backlog and obligators hurt. Not literally, you're not being cut, freezed, cooked, burnt, maimed, whatever, but mentally they cause a lot of pain. Or at least they cause me a lot of pain sometimes. The real question is, when is enough enough? This is something I hope to touch on in my film, which may be released later. It's going to be like 5 minutes long. It's going to be a short film, kind of funny, about this concept of discipline, 2 sides of a coin, to discipline, or pushing through pain. However, I'll give you a little spoiler. The problem with discipline is that it can lead to you taking unnecessary pain on, lead to you taking unnecessary obligators which create backlog. Both of those cause pain. For me, Sunday was a great example of this when I just sat down and did revision. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it. I definitely got into flow and I definitely did something important. But I wouldn't say I really liked the process. I knew that it's needed to enjoy the journey more later. But yeah, it was a bit meh. And it just reached a tipping point in the evening where I was like, what the hell am I doing? Why is everything so unstructured? Why am I doing everything on a whim? Why am I always in backlog? And why the hell am I not uploading videos on time? Luckily, discipline is being able to push through pain. And so you can push through this pain and remove the backlog in one fell swoop, as I did on Sunday. You do it all one fell swoop, and you just create systems like I'm trying to do now, even if it's not visible. I've really focused in on school. I'm actually doing proper revision at proper times with enough blocks. I'm getting my sleep in. I'm getting systems built slowly and slowly, which I should have done at the beginning of January, but better late than never. There is this great quote that action happens when the pain of inaction is greater than the pain of action. I think this ultimately summarizes this whole pain idea. You will not act. Or maybe you will. But initially, at the start, you won't act until there's a reason for you to act. And that reason can be as simple as the pain of inaction having stacked up for ages. The backlog having stacked up on you. That's what's happened to me. So I wonder what you think about this. Where are you in backlog? Do you need the backlog to accumulate so you can change something? Or do you think you can change it now and build some effective systems around your life to fix it? I guess it's probably all right though. Especially if you're watching this video, you've got enough time. So the thought basically is to feel less pain in the future, feel a little bit more pain now. Because, yeah, you'll feel a lot less pain in the future. And trust me, it's worth it because you get to actually record a video quite early. It's only 4:45 right now. And I've recorded YouTube videos at like 6 before. So that is truly the big ideas out the way. Now we're left with some of the slightly more fun stuff. So I'll get my script out properly and we'll have a look. We have confusion of content. I genuinely don't really know what to make on this channel. However much I love making my Wednesday waffles and I am hoping to make some films, I haven't really found a niche per se. And so I'm a bit lost on what to make. But hopefully I'll find something like that. I need to remember that you need to be an archaeologist and not an architect, and that these things will eventually come to you. And they'll come to you so long as you have intentional fun. That's one of the things I kind of struggle with making this video. It's like, I really want to make it. I really want to please my audience and please myself. But how much of it is just because I don't want the backlog? How much of it is because I'm avoiding pain and not trying to enjoy it? I don't know. I've enjoyed this so far quite a lot. Next thing, we have Monday power. What does this mean? Motivation central, don't like backlog accumulate. I said that so wrong. So what I mean by Monday power is basically if you get your Monday sorted, I'm not going to have a bite of that yet. If you get Monday sorted, that means Tuesday's fine. And setting the precedent for a week, starting it really strong is incredibly powerful. I didn't even realize this until my Monday this week was so good. I genuinely just managed to get everything done. I was really happy with myself. Even though I didn't go swimming, it was a great day. This is when I realized that actually I probably need to quit swimming for about a month. So if you figure out your Mondays, your Tuesday is then the next thing to figure out. Take it day by day, but starting the week off strong, especially when you have a 5-day week like school, really sets the tone and makes you feel really good about yourself for the rest of the day. Most important thing though is to get to sleep on time. If you don't get to sleep on time on Monday, you're going to be in backlog for the rest of the week. And trust me, that is not fun. Now, there is a funny story about Monday. This Monday, I was incredibly angry in the morning because I guess I didn't think I had time to do stuff. I got into school and I was fuming. First 2 periods in break time, I was like, I guess you could say locked in with my anger. I was so annoyed. But I destroyed a pen in period 3. I took a pen and just started snapping it. And I didn't realize how much that helped me. I know it's a bit weird, but it's a funny story. I'm trying to be a little bit vulnerable here. And what I'm trying to say is that sometimes you need to destroy something to make yourself feel better. It's kind of the human nature, and when you don't want to destroy someone else, as you always do, it's never worth destroying someone else. It's good to find an inanimate object which you can exert your anger into and remove it, because ultimately we are basically just monkeys. And the way monkeys resolve their anger is by destroying other monkeys. But I guess the gene must have coded differently. I guess it must have said, you know what? It's not the abusing monkeys. It's not the we hear from the other monkeys, which makes us so angry and makes us relieve that anger. It's rather the action of hitting them or biting them or something. That destruction is actually really nice. It sounds really weird. It might be a bit weird, but when I'm angry, I now know what to do. And my final kind of fun thing is the lack of sport in nature. It's not fun, really, but it's annoying. I've touched upon this before, and really I should have it figured out by now. I am also saying run before I swim. If I get school sorted out, then everything else will get so much easier. And I'm already feeling that right now. Getting a school sorted out means I feel so much more free to make this video because I know that I'll have time to edit it, even if it's not a full edit. Even if I have to come back to it a little bit tomorrow, I know that school won't really get in my way with it. But I've really not been on the sport and nature game, I guess. I really want to go climbing more, but climbing's out of the way and it's been raining and it's a bit difficult to get there. I really want to go out in nature more, but it's been raining and I don't want to go outside. The thing is, I realize now that, especially with nature, you can make this into a ritual. I think what I'm going to try do, and I implore you guys to do it. Implore, that's a massive word. I hope that you guys try this as well because it's actually really helped me. I've done this a couple times, but if you have seen some of my previous videos, you'll know that I really struggle with eating food like this and then doing something afterwards because I feel demotivated. I guess insulin rises and I get tired. If I go for a walk right after a meal, it fixes that. Plus, I get my daily dose of nature in. I don't really know how I can fit that into sport, but I did an hour-long calisthenics workout yesterday. So maybe that's the plan. Maybe it's quit swimming and quit climbing, just focusing on calisthenics and parkour. Unlikely because I like climbing too much, but there's always another option. You can just say no to something. And I really would love to figure out this whole climbing thing. So that's my entire video. I actually recorded it. It's done before 5. It'll hopefully be edited before 8 or 7 when I have to go. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll leave you on my haiku. The gale storm flies fast. The bear trudges, unmoving. The deer runs, escapes. I guess what I'm trying to say with this is that some people need to take stuff differently. When there's a storm, the bear can trudge through it. The bear can dive into a mound and it can hibernate through it by just staying there, unmoving. In a way, these are the incredibly disciplined people who can just hunker down in a time of hardship, almost retreat into their own shells and survive. I don't really think I'm one of them yet. I'm more like the deer who needs to be smart, even if deer are a bit stupid, and I need to run away from it, escape it. And in a way, I like the fate of the deer more than the bear. The bear may stay exactly where he is, or she is, or it is. I don't really mind what the bear identifies as, but the bear can stay where it is. And maybe it will never wake up. But at least the deer took a chance in a different way. I wonder who you resonate more with. So leave your answer in the comment, bear or deer. You could just be B or D, or you can message me because Nelly, I know you don't like leaving comments. Please leave a comment. It drives the algorithm. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.